Hello and welcome to the Student Organization Hazing Education and Prevention module from the Office of Student Conduct and Care at Drexel University. The goal of this training is to provide student organization leaders and members with a deeper look into hazing and how to report hazing to our office. After viewing this module, student organizations should have an understanding of Drexel's hazing policy, common excuses for hazing, common activities viewed as hazing, some alternatives to hazing, expectations from campus engagement, and finally, how to report hazing. Drexel University student organizations, which include registered student organizations, clubs, intramural and athletic teams, and other student groups, and other persons associated with an organization, as well as individual students, are prohibited from hazing. A link to the entire hazing policy can be found at the bottom of this slide. Drexel University does not tolerate hazing. Any registered student organization, club, intramural and athletic team, other student groups, or other personnel associated with an organization found responsible for hazing, aggravated hazing, or organizational hazing under this policy, whether occurring on or off campus, may face disciplinary action from the university and may also face criminal charges under state law, including the Timothy J. Piazza anti-hazing law. Drexel adheres to the Timothy J. Piazza anti-hazing law, which defines hazing to include hazing, aggravated hazing, and organizational hazing. How are those defined? We'll look at those on the following slides. It's important to note that it shall not be a defense that the consent of a student was sought or obtained. It's also not a defense that the conduct was sanctioned or approved by the organization. To define hazing, a person commits the offense of hazing if the person intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly, for the purpose of initiating, admitting, or affiliating a student into or with an organization, or for the purpose of continuing or enhancing a student's membership or status in an organization, causes, coerces, or forces a student to do any of the items listed on the next slide. Hazing shall not include reasonably and customary athletic, law enforcement, or military training contests, competitions, or events. Causing, coercing, or forcing a student to any of the following items could be considered hazing. Violating federal or state or criminal law, consuming any food, liquid, alcoholic liquid, drug, or other substance which subjects a student to risk of emotional or physical harm, endure brutality of a physical nature, including whipping, beating, branding, calisthenics, or exposure to the elements, endure brutality of a mental nature, including activity adversely affecting the mental health or dignity of the individual, sleep deprivation, exclusion from social contact, or conduct that could result in extreme embarrassment, endure brutality of a sexual nature, or endure any other activity that creates a reasonable likelihood of bodily injury to the student. A person commits the offense of aggravated hazing if the person commits a violation of hazing that results in serious bodily injury or death to the student, and the person acts with reckless indifference to the health and safety of the student, or the person causes, coerces, or forces the consumption of alcoholic liquid or drug by the student. And finally, an organization commits the offense of organizational hazing if the organization intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly promotes or facilitates a violation of hazing or aggravated hazing. Additionally, the observation of hazing activities by individuals or groups in a position to intervene but who fail to intervene or fail to report such acts of hazing will be considered violations of the hazing policy. Aiding or assisting another student to engage in any hazing activity is prohibited. Here we see some common excuses for hazing. These include phrases like, "It's tradition. No one will get hurt. It's funny. What's the problem? They like it. They said it was okay. It's okay if they don't complain. It helps build unity. And I went through it. It's a rite of passage." It could be hazing if the activity is something that you would not be willing to tell an RA or another student leader, tell an advisor, tell parents, tell prospective new members, to have published in the Triangle or Philadelphia Inquirer, or perform the activity on Lancaster Walk in front of Crease or somewhere else in view. Although some organizations have secret rituals, those activities, depending on what occurs, may or may not constitute hazing. Let's look at power dynamics and how leaders misunderstand hazing. Hazing is not about education. It's about creating a power differential among members. It's about communicating explicit and implicit membership expectations to normalize behavior within an organization. Peer pressure plays a role both with active members to potentially haze and with new members to potentially be hazed. Hazing isn't about a list of activities that are permitted or not. It's about a power dynamic in a group and within a particular cultural context. A newcomer lacks the power to resist because they want to gain admission to a new group. Many newcomers and members disagree with hazing, but are afraid to challenge it. Here we see some common activities that are viewed as psychological hazing. Activities are behaviors that create a power differential and unhealthy dynamics between new and prospective members and existing members. Deception, interference with academic pursuits, name-calling, lineups and or berating, personal servitude, sexual simulations, threats or implied threats. Here we see some common activities that are viewed as physical hazing. Assignment of duties or tasks not assigned to other members, exposure to unsafe environments, forcing another person into a shower against their will, forced bondage, forced branding, tattooing, piercing, or otherwise changing physical appearances. It could also include forced consumption of food, alcohol, drugs, liquids, or vile substances, forced or coerced sexual activity, forced dress codes, forced greetings or titles, games or activities that would cause extreme embarrassment or violate city, state, or federal laws, and kidnapping or abandonment. It also could include paddling or other physical assaults, physical or psychological shocks, sleep or food deprivation, social isolation, subjecting others to unnecessary physical activities such as calisthenics, exercises, or games, or wearing apparel that is conspicuous and not normally in good taste. Hazing can result in outcomes that run counter to the goals of campus leaders and undermine the benefits of education and student success, such as death, emotional harm, damaged relationships, mistrust, physical harm, psychological harm, anger, and resentment, and an abusive culture. So what are some alternatives to hazing activities? Here you'll see a link to some activities that are alternatives for student organizations. The link at the bottom of this slide contains 101 hazing alternatives that include team building activities, community service, new member surprise party, educational speakers, and faculty and staff lunch. So what are your responsibilities as a student organization? Be sure your organization takes a strong stance on preventing hazing by including a statement against hazing in your organization constitution. The hazing statement, approved by campus engagement, is to be included in the guiding documents of all student organization constitutions. This statement can be found in the Empowerment Guide. Finally, Drexel encourages all members of the university community who believe they have witnessed, experienced, or are aware of conduct that constitutes hazing, aggravated hazing, or organizational hazing to report it. Reports can be made using the incident report linked here, by emailing or calling student conduct, by requesting a meeting with a student conduct staff member, or by contacting Drexel University Police. If you feel that you or anyone is in danger, contact Drexel Public Safety immediately for assistance. Reporting is private but not confidential. Every effort will be made to keep the reporter or reporter's identity private and identifying information private, but confidentiality cannot be guaranteed. Thank you for completing this module. If you have any questions about hazing, please contact the Office of Student Conduct and Care.